The alarm cuts through the silence of the early morning. It's a sound you know well, a sound that signals the start of another day, another battle. But before your feet even have a chance to feel the cold floor, before your mind has fully returned to your body, your hand begins its own separate mission. It moves with an instinct that has been drilled into it day after day. It slides across the nightstand, finds the smooth, cold glass of your device, and brings it towards you. Your eyes, still adjusting to the darkness, are met with an artificial sun, a portal to a world that has been spinning while you slept. You open the app, and then you scroll. In that moment, a subtle but powerful chemical reaction begins inside you. A knot of anticipation tightens in your gut. Your heart rate quickens just slightly. It's a moment of profound vulnerability, a silent, desperate prayer sent out into the digital ether. Did they like the post? What did they comment? Did that email from yesterday receive a positive response? You are, in this instant, a beggar. You are a slave before you've even had a sip of water. Your very first conscious action of the day is to plead with the world for a scrap of validation, to ask for permission to feel good about yourself. This is not a harmless habit. This is the precise moment of weakness that defines a life. It is the ritual of the 99%. They wake up, and before they have even decided who they will be for the day, they ask the world to tell them. They look to the opinions of strangers, colleagues, and distant acquaintances to calibrate their own self-worth. The 1% do not do this. They understand a fundamental truth that the 99% have forgotten. The 1% wake up and grant their own permission. They decide their own state. Their first action is not to consume the judgments of others, but to generate their own internal certainty. They do not ask the world for a verdict on their value. They remind themselves of the principles that guide them, the mission that drives them, and the power that resides within them. They are the source, not the receptacle. This program, this transmission, is not for the 99%. They can continue to scroll, to seek, to beg. This is for the man who feels a deep, burning disgust at this weakness within himself. It is for the man who feels the cold, invisible chains of other people's opinions wrapped around his mind and is finally, irrevocably, ready to shatter them. You know this feeling. You know the hollow victory of a few dozen likes and the sharp sting of a critical comment. You know the anxiety of waiting for a reply, of crafting your words and actions, not from a place of authenticity, but from a desperate calculation of how they will be perceived. This is a prison of your own making, but you are also the only one who holds the key. The chains are not real iron. They are forged from thought, and they can be dissolved by a will that has been sharpened into a blade. If you are here, it is because a part of you knows you were meant for more than this pathetic cycle of seeking and reacting. You are ready to stop asking for permission to exist and to start living. You believe this behavior is strategic. You've convinced yourself that this constant hunger for approval is a necessary tool for success in the modern world. You give it sophisticated names. You call it networking. You call it building a personal brand. You call it managing your reputation, or simply being a good team player. But these are just elegant lies you tell yourself to mask a profound and corrosive cowardice. Let's be clear about what is actually happening. You are not building a fortress to protect your identity. You are meticulously constructing a prison around it, brick by painful brick, with every single notification you check. The mortar holding it together is your anxiety, and the bars on your window are forged from the fleeting validation of likes, shares, and positive comments. The reality of your current strategy is not the creation of armor. It is the systematic dissolution of it. Every single time you alter your behavior, change your opinion, or soften your stance based on a perceived judgment from someone else, you are performing a small act of surrender. You are handing over a piece of your internal sovereignty. You think you are playing a clever game, gaining influence and social capital. But what you are actually becoming is a hollow echo, a perfect reflection of other people's expectations. You are a ghost, shaped by the whims of an audience you can never fully please. You have outsourced the most critical human function, the valuation of your own self, to a committee of the unqualified, the uninterested, and in many cases, the unworthy. Their validation is a drug. There is no other way to describe it. From a neurochemical standpoint, it functions in precisely the same way. A positive comment, a like, a favorable reply to an email. These trigger a small release of dopamine in your brain. It's a momentary high, a fleeting sensation of acceptance and worth. But like any potent drug, the effect diminishes over time. The initial dose no longer provides the same rush. Soon, you need more. You need a more enthusiastic comment, a higher number of likes, a quicker, more effusive reply. You find yourself checking your devices with increasing frequency, chasing that neurological reward. You post not to express, but to be seen. You speak not to communicate, but to be approved of. And in the moments between these hits, a low-grade anxiety thrums beneath the surface. A withdrawal, a gnawing fear of being ignored, of being disliked, of being irrelevant. This is the cycle of the addict. The brief pleasure is always followed by a deeper, more desperate need. And this path does not lead to a position of strength, respect, or influence. It leads to a pathetic and predictable end. It leads to a man without a spine, a man whose internal architecture has completely collapsed. He becomes a chameleon, changing his colors to match whatever environment he is in, so desperate to blend in that he forgets what his own true color ever was. He becomes indistinguishable from the very mob he sought to please, a collection of borrowed opinions and second-hand convictions. He stands for nothing, because he is terrified of the consequence of taking a stand. He agrees with the last person he spoke to, his smile a mask for his terror. This is the endpoint of the path you are on. It is not a future of connection and success. It is a future of utter, soul-crushing hollowness. And the first step to escaping this prison is to finally, truly, see the bars for what they are. This path, this hollowing out of the self, is not a modern tragedy. It is an ancient war waged in the mind of every man who has ever walked the earth. The desperate need for the tribe's approval is wired into our deepest biology, a survival instinct from a time when exile meant death. But we no longer live in caves, and the battlefield has changed. The threat is no longer a predator in the dark. It is the tyranny of a billion tiny judgments delivered through a screen. And the strategy to win this war, to achieve true sovereignty of the soul, was codified nearly 2,000 years ago. It was not written by a psychologist in a sterile office, but by a warrior philosopher on the frozen battlefields of Germania. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, a man who commanded the known world, understood that his greatest enemy was not the barbarian at the gates, but the weakness within his own mind. In the quiet of his campaign tent, he wrote a private journal, a set of instructions to himself, and in it, he forged the ultimate weapon. He wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." This is not a pleasant suggestion. It is an absolute law of power and peace. Read those words again. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring. This isn't about pretending not to care. It isn't about suppressing the sting of criticism. It is a fundamental rewiring of your entire operational system. It is the understanding that the opinions of others exist in a universe entirely separate from you. They are external phenomena, as random and uncontrollable as the weather. You can no more command another person's approval than you can command the clouds to part. To stake your internal peace, your self-worth, your very sense of stability on something you cannot, under any circumstances, control is the textbook definition of insanity. It is a self-imposed sentence of lifelong anxiety, a constant dance of puppetry where the strings are held by everyone but you. Your power does not lie in becoming more charming, more agreeable, or more persuasive to manipulate their thoughts. That is the slave's strategy. The sovereign's power lies in the complete and total indifference to them. This is not a cold, sociopathic indifference. It is a focused, disciplined indifference. It is the realization that your energy, your time, your very life force is a finite resource. And to spend it trying to manage the unmanageable thoughts inside someone else's head is the ultimate act of waste. Your focus must be relentlessly, brutally, internal. It must be aimed like a laser at the only territory you truly command, your own mind, your actions, your judgments, your principles. This is your domain. This is your kingdom. Everything else, their praise, their criticism, their gossip, their likes, their dislikes, is nothing more than noise from across the border. It is static from a foreign land. You may hear it, but you do not answer to it. It has no authority over you. Your task, therefore, must be redefined. Your mission in life is not to win their approval. It is not to build a reputation that pleases the crowd. Your task is to build a man who does not require their approval to function. To forge a character so solid, so rooted in its own principles, that the winds of public opinion can howl and rage, and it will not move you 1 inch. This is the shift from a life of begging to a life of building. You stop asking the world for permission, and you start granting it to yourself. This ancient law, this Stoic law, is the key that unlocks the cage. It is the realization that the prison door was never locked. You simply had to decide to stop looking at the guards and turn around to walk out. The great philosophers gave us the map, but they cannot walk the path for you. An idea, no matter how profound, is useless until it is forged into action through the discipline of a daily routine. The 1%, the men who operate with an unshakable inner core, do not simply hope for strength. They execute protocols that build it day by day, brick by brick. What follows is not a list of friendly suggestions or life hacks. This is your new operational standard, a set of 9 commands to be executed without fail, starting tomorrow morning, to systematically dismantle the prison of public opinion and construct a fortress in its place. Command 1. No phone, first hour. For the first 60 minutes of your day, your mind is sovereign territory. It does not belong to your boss, to social media, or to the world's manufactured emergencies. By refusing to plug into the digital matrix, you are making a profound statement. My inner world sets the tone for my day, not the outer world. You starve the addiction at its source. You allow your own thoughts to surface before they are drowned out by the noise of others. This first hour is a sacred space where you establish your own authority before you ever encounter another's. Command 2. Negative visualization. For 5 minutes, you will sit in silence and actively imagine your deepest social fears coming true. Picture it with clarity. The project you worked on is publicly criticized. An opinion you share is met with ridicule. You are misunderstood, disliked, even ostracized. Do not run from the feeling. Invite it in. Let the anxiety and discomfort wash over you. Why? Because you are inoculating yourself. By experiencing the worst in the controlled environment of your mind, you strip it of its power in the real world. You are teaching your nervous system that you can survive their disapproval. It is a vaccine against neediness. Command 3. Define your mission. Write down a single, primary objective for the day. This objective must be entirely within your control and aligned with your core principles. It is not get a promotion, but deliver my best work on the project. It is not be liked in the meeting, but speak my truth clearly and respectfully. This mission is your compass. When the winds of other people's demands and opinions begin to blow, you will look at this mission, and it will hold you steady on your course. Command 4. Read your orders. You will read one paragraph from a Stoic text, from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus. You are not reading for pleasure or for intellectual curiosity. You are reading for instruction. These are not the words of academics. They are the field manuals of generals, statesmen, and survivors. They are direct orders on how to maintain your inner citadel under siege. Command 5. Mandatory discomfort. You will deliberately do something your weaker self wants to avoid. Take a cold shower. Perform the workout you were going to skip. Do the most difficult task on your list first. This is a physical declaration of dominance over your own impulses. You are proving in the arena of the body that your will is in command. This builds the muscle of discipline that you will need when facing emotional and psychological discomfort. Command 6. Review your code. You will have a written list of your core principles, your personal code of conduct. Read them aloud. Honesty, courage, discipline, resilience, whatever they are for you. You remind yourself who you have decided to be before the world gets a chance to tell you who it wants you to be. This is an act of identity reinforcement. Command 7. The view from above. For 60 seconds, you will practice a visualization. See yourself from a corner of the room, then from above your building, your city, your country. Zoom out until you see the earth as a small blue marble in the vast, silent blackness of space. From this perspective, see the petty squabbles, the fleeting judgments, the desperate need for likes and comments. See them for what they are, utterly insignificant. Command 8. Rehearse conflict. Visualize a specific upcoming scenario where you might be judged. A presentation, a difficult conversation, a family gathering. Rehearse your ideal response. See yourself acting with virtue and indifference. Not defensive, not needy. Calm, centered, and in control. You are training your mind to respond with principle, not to react with panic. Command 9. Separate event from judgment. At the end of your day, you will perform a mental audit. Write down one external event that occurred, and then write down the story, the judgment you attach to it. The event. My boss sent a one-word email reply. The judgment. He is unhappy with my work and thinks I am incompetent. Now, strike out the judgment. The only objective fact is the email. The story is your weakness speaking. Erase it. This is the ultimate practice of a sovereign mind. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of your response. Your transformation from a slave to a sovereign does not begin next week or tomorrow, or after you've had your morning coffee. It begins in the next 24 hours with the execution of a single, non-negotiable command. The mental armor we have discussed, the 9 protocols for building an unbreakable mind, they all hinge on the outcome of one pivotal battle that takes place in the first moments of your day. This is where the war for your soul is won or lost. You will implement Protocol 1, no phone for the first hour. This is not a choice. It is not a friendly suggestion from a lifestyle guru. It is a direct order. The man you are tomorrow, the man you are a year from now, is decided by the discipline you execute the moment your eyes open. There are no valid excuses. There is no room for negotiation with your weaker self. There is only execution, or there is failure. And failure means you remain exactly where you are, a puppet whose strings are pulled by the casual, fleeting opinions of a world that does not care about you. Think about what this first command truly represents. It is a declaration of independence. For years, your first conscious act has been one of supplication. You have awakened and immediately plugged your mind into a machine designed to harvest your attention and manipulate your emotions. You have begged for validation before your feet even touch the floor. By refusing to touch that device, you are severing that connection. You are telling the world, and more importantly, telling yourself, that the first 60 minutes of daylight belong to you and you alone. Your thoughts will be your own. Your emotional state will be set by you, not by an algorithm. You will meet the day from a position of internal strength, not external need. This single hour is the sovereign territory of your mind. Defending it is your primary duty. To fail here is to surrender the entire day before it has even begun. It is to concede that your impulses are stronger than your will, that the approval of strangers is more important than your own peace. This is the dividing line. The 99% will hear this, nod in agreement, and perhaps even feel a momentary flicker of inspiration. Then, tomorrow morning, the alarm will ring, and their hand will move on instinct, reaching for the familiar comfort of the screen. They will choose the cage. They will choose to remain a slave. This information, for them, is merely entertainment. But for the 1%, for the man who is truly disgusted by his own weakness, this is not information. It is an operational imperative. And the first step in any operation is to commit, to move from passive listening to active engagement, to signal your commitment, not to me, but to yourself, and to separate your intention from the hollow wishes of the masses. You will make a public declaration. This is your vow. This is your personal declaration of war on the weakness that has held you hostage. You will go to the comments section of this video, and you will write the following 5 words. This is not for likes. It is not for engagement. It is a digital ritual, an act of drawing a line in the sand. It is you, telling the universe and the deepest parts of your own mind that the old you is finished. Write this now. My judgment is my fortress. Read those words again. A fortress is a structure you build to protect what is valuable from outside attack. Your judgment, your ability to see the world clearly and act on your own principles, is the most valuable thing you possess. It is the seat of your power. By making it a fortress, you declare that it is no longer open to assault from the opinions, criticisms, or validations of others. It is secure. It is sovereign. It is yours. If you are one of the few who will execute this command and make this declaration, subscribe for your next set of orders. The path forward is difficult, and it requires constant reinforcement. The rest can return to their cages.